to act to carry out David's instructions concerning Joab. This was prompted by the action of Adonijah, who still manifested an ambition despite the mercy that Solomon had shown him. Adonijah approached Solomon's mother with the words, "You yourself well know that the kingship was to have become mine, and it was toward me that all Israel had set their face for me to become king. But the kingship turned and came to be my brother's, for it was from Jehovah that it became his." Here Adonijah acknowledged that Jehovah was behind the enthroning of Solomon, yet his request that followed these words was a further crafty bid for usurpation of the kingship. He said to Bathsheba, "Please, say to Solomon the king, that he should give me Abishag the Shunammite as a wife." Adonijah may have felt that he had a strong enough following, together with the support of Joab and Abithar, that, by taking David's nurse, considered to have been David's concubine, though David had had no relations with her, he could start an uprising that might overthrow Solomon. By custom the wives and concubines of a king could only become those of his legal successor, so the taking of such wives was considered a claim to the throne. Compare 2 Sa 16. 21-22. When Bathsheba, not disowning Adonijah's duplicity, transmitted his request to Solomon, Solomon interpreted it immediately as a bid for the kingship and forthwith sent Benaiah to put Adonijah to death. 1 Kai 2. 13-25. Abithar deposed. Joab put to death. Then Solomon gave attention to those who had conspired with Adonijah. Abithar was dismissed from the priesthood in fulfillment of Jehovah's word spoken against the house of Eli 1 Sa 2. 30-36, but he was not killed, because he had carried the ark before David and had suffered affliction with him. Zadok replaced Abithar. In the meantime, Joab, having heard of Solomon's action, fled to grab hold of the horns of the altar, but there he was slain by Benaiah at Solomon's order. 1 Kai 2. 26-35. Shimei executed. Solomon also placed Shimei on oath to observe certain restrictions, for this man had called down evil on his father David. When Shimei, about 3 years later, violated this restriction, Solomon had him put to death. Thus David's injunction to Solomon was fully carried out. 1 Kai 2. 36-46. Solomon's wise request. In the early part of Solomon's reign the people were sacrificing on many high places, because there was no house of Jehovah, though the tabernacle was at Gibeon and the ark of the covenant was in a tent on Zion. Although Jehovah had said that his name was to be placed upon Jerusalem, he evidently tolerated this practice until the temple should be built. 1 Kai 3. 2, 3 At Gibeon, known as the Great High Place, Solomon offered 1,000 burnt sacrifices. Here Jehovah appeared to him in a dream, saying, "Request what I should give you." Instead of asking for riches, glory, and victory, Solomon requested a wise, understanding, and obedient heart in order to be able to judge Israel. Solomon's humble request so pleased Jehovah that he gave him not only what he had asked for but also riches and glory, so that there will not have happened to be any among the kings like you, all your days. Jehovah, however, added the admonition, "And if you will walk in my ways by keeping my regulations and my commandments, just as David your father walked, I will also lengthen your days." 1 Kai 3. 4-14. Shortly afterward, when two prostitutes presented a difficult problem of parental identity, Solomon demonstrated that God had indeed endowed him with judicial wisdom. This greatly strengthened Solomon's authority in the eyes of the people. 1 Kai 3. 16-28. Building projects. Pictures, Volume 1, pages 748, 750, 751. In the 4th year of his reign, in the 2nd month of the year, the months of April-May, in 1034 BCE, Solomon began to build the Otextoi Acute Miritra Longo. Solomon 989th month, Ethanim, at the time of the Festival of Booths, that the sanctification and inauguration of the temple were carried out by Solomon. 1 Kai 8. 2. 2 ch 7. 8-10. Therefore it must have taken place in the 7th month of 1026 BCE, 11 months after completing the building, rather than a month before the structure was completed in 1027 BCE as some have thought. Another view adopted by some is that the inauguration services were in Solomon's 24th year 1014 BCE after he had also built his own house and other government buildings, which occupied 13 more years, or 20 years of building work in all. This view is supported by the Greek Septuagint, which interpolates certain words not found in the Masoretic text, at 1 Kings 8. 3 Kings 8. 1 in LXX, Bagster reading. And it came to pass when Solomon had finished building the house of the Lord and his own house after 20 years, then King Solomon assembled all the elders of Israel in Shroud, to bring the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the city of David, this is Shroud, in the month of Athanan. However, a comparison of the accounts in Kings and Chronicles indicates that this is an incorrect conclusion. The record in 1 Kings chapters 6 to 8 describes the temple construction and its completion. Next it mentions Solomon's 13-year government building program. And then, after speaking again at length of the temple construction and the bringing in of the things made holy by David his father, the account proceeds to describe the inauguration. This seems to indicate that the description of the government building program 1 Kai 7,